Diglett is a Pokemon introduced in Generation 1 that is currently being suspected in Little Cup despite its meager base stat total of 265. Other Little Cup staples such as Pawniard, Vullaby, and Mienfoo have around 350, giving it a significant disadvantage. It was never suspect tested at any generation before now, so what suddenly made this adorable little mole into something ban-worthy? Before I get into it, please like, share, subscribe, and all of that good stuff. It really helps me in the algorithm, and I would very much appreciate it. In every generation of Little Cup where Diglett is available, it is very strong. This is due to its Arena Trap ability, which prevents the opposing Pokemon from switching out, except if the opponent is a Ghost type or is not grounded, such as being a Flying type or a Pokemon with the ability Levitate. As a result, Diglett had an extremely potent offensive profile of being able to threaten Pokemon weak to ground or pick off weakened opponents. Despite its base stat total being very low, it had stats where it mattered. With a blazing fast speed stat and acceptable attack stat, Diglett was strong and fast enough to break through other Pokemon over the years, such as Ponyta, Pawniard, and Marianne. This was also combined with a usable special defense stat, which meant that Diglett could take attacks surprisingly well on the special side, giving it entry opportunities. Diglett's move pool was quite good as well. Offensively, Earthquake was a fantastic stab option that was well complemented by rock coverage, this being Rock Slide in previous generations, with Stone Edge and Rock Blast being additions of Generation 9. Stealth Rock was a fantastic utility move that wore down an opponent's team over the course of a game. Substitute could be used to ease prediction, meaning that an opponent had to attack into Diglett. Protect and Sucker Punch were good for scouting revenge killers, denying priority attacks such as Fake Out, and still having offensive presence even when outsped. Final Gambit allowed Diglett to get a guaranteed amount of damage on the opponent equal to Diglett's remaining health, which also gained momentum and prevented the opponent from using moves such as Defog and Rapid Spin. Memento was another option that allowed another Pokemon on your team to set up more easily. All of these options are strong, but balanced because other metagames had tools to compensate. Trace Porygon could counter-trap Diglett after it claimed a KO, and wouldn't be set up fodder afterwards due to its access to status moves such as Thunder Wave and Toxic. Generation 8's Grookey could KO with priority Grassy Glide and ruin Earthquake due to summoning grassy terrain and having its base power. Generally bulky Pokemon such as Mienfoo, Timber, Spritzee, and Slowpoke could simply take a hit and KO Diglett in return due to its lackluster bulk and health. It could not perform every role at once it wanted to achieve, and could not trap every Pokemon it wanted to. What changed from this that made Diglett suspect test worthy? The answer is twofold. Generation 9 has a significantly smaller Pokédex and terastallization. Previous checks such as Mienfoo, Timber, and Spritzee do not exist, while others like Slowpoke aren't very well adapted to the metagame. As a result, very few Pokemon can check Diglett. There are options such as Crabrawler, Toadstool, and Shelter, but they are significantly less consistent as a result of terastallization. Otherwise known as Terra, Generation 9's signature mechanic allows a Pokemon to change their type to any other single type. This is combined with Terra Blast, an 80 base power move that changes in type whenever a Pokemon has terastallized to their new Terra type. This gives every Pokemon new coverage moves they didn't have access to before. As a result, checks such as Crabrawler and Toadstool can die to a Terra Blast flying Diglett. Terra Ice can also be used for Toadstool, as well as flying types in Drifloon and Wattrel. Terra gives Diglett such a fantastic offensive toolkit that it became significantly less manageable defensively. The limited Pokemon available also means there are less reliable checks to be able to deal with Diglett offensively. Choice Scarf Pokemon are an option, but these run into the issue of being exploitable by locking into a single move. As mentioned before, Diglett can run Protect to scout these moves and go to a suitable check. Lack of available Pokemon means there are very few Scarfers you want to run. The most common of these are Zorua, Mankey, and Larvesta, who are all considered B+ rank or lower on the Scarlet Violet viability rankings. In order to be able to outspeed and deal with Diglett offensively, you have to use Pokemon not considered as strong as Diglett. The only other Pokemon that can tie Diglett's speed naturally is Voltorb, which has a bad matchup versus Diglett. Terra solves this problem, as Voltorb can turn into an Ice type to remove its ground weakness, but both Voltorb and Diglett can only reach 20 speed naturally, meaning it is a speed tie. In a situation where both Pokemon have the same speed, the game randomly chooses one of the two to go first. The entire course of a game can come down to whether you win a coin flip, which is not terribly healthy. In addition to Diglett itself being very powerful, its teammates are better than ever as well. Offensive options became significantly stronger when defensive options are weak, so setup sweepers such as Bulk Up Brawler, Shell Smash Shelter, and Swords Dance Pawniard have significantly less counterplay than before. The few defensive checks to these Pokemon, such as Mariani, Fungus, Toycoco, and Tinkatink, need to be fully healthy to be able to deal with his sweepers to avoid being chipped down. The two benefits that Diglett gives to these team members is forcing Terastallization as well as guaranteed damage. Defensive checks are quite valuable for staving off offense, and their typings are quite valuable for this. Forcing Mariani or Tinkatink to Terra, which typically removes their water resistance and rock and dark resistance respectively, makes them significantly worse defensively. Shelter and Pawniard then can more reliably break them over as a result. The guaranteed damage is very important for ground-weak defensive cores, as well as finishing off weakened opponents. Mariani and Fungus both have Regenerator, an extremely good ability which recovers 1/3 of a Pokemon's health when switching out. The issue is that Diglett's Arena Trap prevents switching, so if either are within range of Diglett Earthquake and Diglett comes in, the defensive check to a sweeper can be removed. Combine this with how hard Diglett hits, as well as Stealth Rock Chip, and your once reliable defensive core is liable to crumble solely because of Diglett. All of this is very strong, and then you remember that Diglett has access to Memento, and it very easily wins games with that tool alone. Do you want to block Rapid Spin, Defog, gain momentum, and make it so your opponent can't do much damage to your sweeper? Memento is the tool for you. It also has the fantastic benefit of being on a very fast Pokemon that prevents you from switching, meaning you cannot deny the Memento either. One turn is all it takes to win games in this metagame, so it's another cherry on top for an already overflowing sundae of utility. Items are very important and competitive, as they typically determine a Pokemon's role on a team. Diglett has no less than 5 items it can run, and all of them function well. Life Orb gives you lots of power without locking into a move, and only does 1 point of recoil damage to you for each attack. This is the most common item by far. Eviolite gives you usable bulk and can take quite a few hits. Air Balloon makes you immune to Toxic Spikes, Spikes, and Ground-type moves, allowing you to counter-trap other Diglett. Focus Sash can be used on Hyper Offense teams to allow you to set Stealth Rock consistently and then use Memento to provide a setup opportunity to a teammate. Choice Scarf has been used to outspeed other Choice Scarfers, while also being able to revenge kill Shelter and Choodle due to being faster than both, even after they have Shell Smash. As a result, I think that a Diglett ban would not only be necessary, but extremely healthy in this metagame as a result of all of these factors. It puts heavy pressure on every defensive core, can enable extreme hyper-offense teams in an unhealthy way, and can be a potent offensive threat itself. The entire metagame warps around its presence, and it is nigh unstoppable. Perhaps it can be freed when we get significantly more Pokemon in the metagame, but for now, it is too much to handle. Thank you all very much for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe, and as always, have a good day.